Here's how and where to find some cheap Texas houses for as little as $5,000 up to 90% below market value, sometimes mortgage free. Texas is one of the best places to get started for real estate investing because you can get some really amazing deals. So in this video, in this training, we're going to walk you through it step by step. If you're sick of traditional real estate, maybe you want to make some residual income or buy some property for yourself and your family to make some money on, we're going to walk you through it here in this video. And Texas is one of our favorite spots. And if you can buy a property 80-90% below market value for as little as the back taxes owed, you can have a huge opportunity for making money in real estate. And let's go and dive in. Before we do that, without further ado, we're going to bring in Mr. Josh Blanchard here, our in-house Texas expert. Josh, how you doing?
Hey, hello, good afternoon or good morning, wherever you are.
Nice. Josh is making the trip here to Texas in a couple days. So we got our eyes on some of these properties that are literally coming up in the next few days that you guys can take action on as we are. We're going to go down there. We're going to look at them. We're going to bid. We're going to buy. And we want to show you guys how we do it here. So Josh, let's not fluff around the bush. Let's go straight to it and look at some of these properties and ask some questions in the comments as we go. We'd love to hear from you. So I'll put your screen up here, Josh, and let's party.
Okay, nice. What we've got here is realauction.com. And so realauction.com, these are online auctions that you can be bidding on from anywhere in the country, anywhere in the state, anywhere in the world, really, which is pretty cool. Because Houston, Harris County, one of the biggest auctions in the tax deed space, is in person. So you can only bid there if you're in the room, which is great for the people in the room because there's no outside competition. But if you do want to be able to do this remotely, there are still options available for you. And so you can see here we've got client list, and there's actually a ton of different counties here that you can see for Texas. Now, we've already done a little bit of legwork for you. We've got 3 upcoming auctions that are handpicked for you. We're going to show you some of the best deals for the upcoming tax deed sales. And let's go ahead and start with Galveston. And so there are a lot of deals here. Let me show you one that is pretty outrageous. Scrolling down here on the page, you can see this one starts June 3rd. So it's coming up on Tuesday. And we've got the case number here. We've got the sale number, a judged value. So $205,000. That's how much the county is saying that this is worth. Look at this minimum bid, $6,785. So incredibly, incredibly low. And so this is Galveston. This is not as big of a county as Harris County. This is a lot smaller, so there's going to be a little bit of less competition there. So we've got an account number and the property address. Let's go ahead and open that up, and whoa, you can see below too, 26 grand on 407,000. So these are really juicy spreads. We're going to go ahead and take that address too. We're going to throw it into Zillow. But mind you, we are always going to be referencing the county data, not what Zillow says or anything like that. And so, oh, rats, you know what? I think I got to go ahead and throw on my VPN. So
Nice.
let me throw that on. Return.
And scoot back. And as we go into this, we're going to be looking at properties that are straight up available right now that you guys can bid on. So Josh is just adding the VPN, and sometimes as you are coming in to look at these, you might need to turn on a VPN. Some of these county websites have settings that need to be adjusted, and for the Google algorithm, we're not showing everything that we're showing here is public record, which means anybody can go look and anybody can go find it. So we've done quite a bit of the legwork because we're going to these auctions. And this channel is dedicated to help you save some time. So Josh, it looks like we're back in business.
Oh, yes. Okay. Right. We're good to go again.
Let's roll.
All right. So now I am able to access the Galveston CAD property search website. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to throw that account number right here. I'm going to copy it and paste it. Let's see. Owner name, my ID. Let's give that a shot. Okay. Oh, we are currently experiencing a delay. All right. So at the moment, it seems like that website is not working the best, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and we're still going to work this. We'll show you a little bit of Zillow, but what you would want to do is you would want to make sure that you're not buying like a sliver of the property. You want to make sure that you're getting the whole property. And so the parcel lines are going to be what determine that. So always go ahead and follow the account number, tax ID number, anything like that. But you can see here we've got 2484 square feet. Let's see, built in 1975. So there's the property right there, 831 Fifth Ave in Texas City, Texas. So yeah, pretty huge house. Let's go ahead and just take a look at the area a little bit here. I'm going to zoom in on the property. I'm going to go ahead, just see what's going on in the area. Let's go ahead, click for sale, see everything. So there is a house listed for $250,000 for $1799. We've got another one here for $253 for two, also remodeled. $138,000 for a very, very tiny house, 675 square feet. And we've got a few others here, but we really are sitting in that 250K range. So, to be able to get this property and bid on it for an open bid of 6,785 and fixed up, you're looking at this could, someone put on the market for around $250,000, more or less. That's an insane, insane gap. So there's a lot of upside here. And will it sell for the 67.85? I mean, nobody knows. Maybe it's going to go for 10,000, 15,000. There are deals to be had here, though. One of the things that a virtual assistant does for us is he's simply monitoring all of these sales on realauction.com in Texas. And there are plenty of times each month that property does sell for below 30 cents on the dollar. And so that could be you. And you want to make sure that you get plugged in, get into the mix, start attending these sales, because there are a lot of good deals. Now, this is a really juicy spread, but let me show you in El Paso something even better. This is pretty outrageous. We've got $3,000 on $133,000. So this is huge, right? $3,000, just a little bit of an open bid. Could it go for $3,000? Maybe. Unlikely. Could it go for 10? Possible. So here we've got the details. So this is the county data. So we can go ahead and we can see the values. We can see the ownership percentage. So you can see 100%. That's good. He's got 100% interest in the property. Sometimes you'll actually find in Texas some sales where the owner does not have 100% interest. And so that's a situation where you would want to walk away. We got some values here. You can see a breakdown of it. So let's say you have the address on realauction.com. So in this case, 7916 Mazaladen Drive. You throw that into Zillow. You want to make sure, though, that you are also operating off of what you see from the county. So we've got a 7,230 square foot lot, about 1,000 square feet. Zillow saying $150,000. So $3,000 is the opening bid. We can come over here and confirm that we are seeing that. And so you can go on improvements, building. You can see the living area, the value. You can see how that's getting taxed. Same thing with the land. So the square footage lines up. So does the square footage of the building. And so if we came in here and the square footage was different than what we saw, we might want to pause. But in this case, very close. We're just off by about 4 square feet. This says 7230. This says 7211. So very close, but these things are in alignment. So if there was a difference of information, always go with the county, not with Zillow, not Redfin, not PropWire, PropStream, any of those. You want to go ahead and do this with the county. But let's see, what are people trying to list property for in the area? So I'm going to go ahead, zoom in. So the closest properties, we got 225 grand, 180 grand, 400 grand, 117, 117. So 225 for a 4.3. We got a 3.1 for 180. This is a bit more similar to our property. This is a little bit smaller, actually. And so it's entirely possible that it's worth a bit more than 150. So it could be 180, but it just makes the spread even juicier. So $3,000, $3,125 is the opening bid. This is coming up June 3rd. This is in El Paso County. And so these further out from major cities, these smaller counties, you can definitely find and score some better deals. So you never know. Could go for 3,000, it could go for 100, it could go for 10, but you definitely want to be able to get in here and get a chance, because it's just simply a matter of time when you will get a deal. And there's so much opportunity. And again, so many different counties here on realauction.com.
Nice. And for anybody just joining us, it's Dustin Hahn, Mr. Josh Blanchard here. And our channel is, if you're a first time, somebody tuning in for the first time, we help you get government seized properties super cheap through tax liens, tax deeds, and alternate ways into real estate. So, whether you have 50 bucks or $500,000, the cool thing is with tax liens and deeds and government seized properties, government auction properties, you can have a way to get some of these deals. So for anybody just tuning in right now, ask us some questions in the comments. I see many of you guys are watching. What are you working on as far as, what questions do you have about tax liens and deeds? This is the spot to get your questions answered from there. And if you like this stuff, do us a favor, hit the thumbs up. And always, for anybody tuning in, if you don't already have it, we have the ABCs of tax lien and deed investing. This is a complete beginner's guide to tax lien and deed investing and government seized properties. It is a full mini course with the directories as well. So this is your guide. So when it comes to like Texas, all you need to do is just open it up, pull up a county, and give them a call or go to the website. So that is for free. And if you want to join us, Josh is heading to a sale here. When are you heading out, Josh? Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday for our meet and greet in the evening. So there's enough time if you want to come on tag along.
Nice. So we still have some space there. And all of that is in a link below in the description. If you want to join, we can have a discussion there. You can book a call and see if it's a fit. Let's see. It looks like Steve is saying here, just registered for a call. Steve, sweet truck. My first pickup was a 84 GMC. I got it when I was 15 and spent 2 years working on it to make it roadworthy. So definitely appreciate the old Chevys and GMs. Thanks for the comment. Let's see. Yeah, great to see everybody here. Let's see. How do you know what states to buy in? So, this is a question of opportunity, right? So when it comes to what states to buy in, you want to go where the opportunity is. And our answer to that question is always start, what's available in your backyard. A lot of people who tune in live in Texas, which is pretty cool. However, the other side of it is, many of these auctions are online, so you can go ahead and attend from the comfort of your home. So as far as what other states to start with, the next thing you need to ask is like, how much money do you have to get started, right? Do you have $100? Do you have 10,000? Do you have 100,000? That changes the game. In my opinion, anything under like 50,000, you want to start with tax deed investing, because you can buy these cheap properties, sometimes $5,000 houses up to 90% below market value. And you can buy them, flip them, and kind of work your way up into bigger properties and then take the profits and go ahead and buy some tax liens, which pay, 8 to 36%, and really work your way up. The cool thing about this business is it's not really a mainstream vehicle. So it's still an investment model that not a lot of people know about, yet it's been around for over 200 years. And one of the big reasons that most people have never really heard about this, or they don't know much, is the fact that in these directories, there's the contact information to all 3,300 counties, and all 3,300 counties do things a little bit differently. And there's no incentive for third parties to come in and build like a multi-billion-dollar investment or company around it. Like, for example, if you're flipping houses, there's closing companies or title companies, there's insurance, there's mortgage companies, there's realtors, there's multi-billion-dollar industries built on making money. Whereas tax liens and deeds, they really just they don't really allow middlemen to come in and make money. So you have to just learn the rules for each county, which is pretty straightforward in what we teach here. So good questions, guys and gals. If you have any more questions, put them in the box. I see there's a lot of people tuned in, so that is great. We appreciate you being here. And let's see. Steve is saying, how do you go about selling these once you have the deed? So one of the easiest ways to sell it is you can call a real estate agent in the area, ask them if they've had any cash buyers and offer them commission there. It's always good to have a good real estate agent that you work with. It can be a great relationship. Now, most real estate agents, you need to filter out a few to find somebody who's willing to put in the work and not just put a sign on it and plop it on the MLS. The next thing you can do is the standard free stuff like Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist is easy. The next thing you can do is get a list of the people who have bought at the auctions in the past, because those are cash buyers as well. Or you can use a stream or a service like PropWire to find cash buyers in the area as well. So at the end of the day, as long as you have a good deal, you will be able to flip it quickly, right? When you have a hard time selling something, it generally means you don't have a good deal. And we're all about getting good deals here. So if you have a house, you buy it for 5 or 10 and it's worth 50 or 60 or 100, you will be able to sell that thing quickly. Good stuff. Questions rolling in. We appreciate that. At the same time, guys, if you like it, do us a favor, hit the thumbs up on this thing. Let's see. Is there to look up all of the state liens? So that's going to be within your research process. Josh, you want to comment on that one?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder too if they're talking about liens versus deeds, but we could answer it both ways. And so if you're talking about all of the states that are liens instead of like the tax liens instead of tax deeds, we've got the vault.taxlienschool.com. We've got a interactive map there that is color coded, and so it's going to identify all of the lien states, tax lien states. But if you're talking about looking up liens for a particular property, that's going to be a title search. And generally, the quickest way to find that is you put in google.com, put in county name, deed search, or county name, real property records, or county name. Well, that's the two of them. I generally am able to find it with deeds though, and you're always going to be searching by the owner's name. So as long as you're on a website where you're searching by the owner's name versus the property address, that's going to be the right place.
Great. Let's see. Here's one, Josh. Experience with Pennsylvania. Good thoughts. We actually just finished
Yes.
an auction there as well.
Yeah, we've probably gone to maybe 60, 70 Philadelphia tax sales. And so now they're online, they're on bid for assets, but Philadelphia is a bit different than the rest of Pennsylvania. So for Philadelphia, though, if the property is vacant, then there's no redemption period. It's just a regular tax deed. And so you can go ahead and you can sell the property right away. Now, if it is occupied, though, then you've got to wait 9 months before you can sell it. And if they do redeem, you're going to get a 10% interest on the price that you pay at the auction. And so that's annualized. It's not a penalty like Texas, where it's 25%, whether they redeem on the first day or the last day. It's still 25%. But it's annualized in Philadelphia. But for the rest of the state, there's two different kinds of sales. They're called judicial and upset. And so one of them, you have to be very careful because nothing gets wiped other than the back taxes. That's the only thing that gets wiped. And then other sales, everything else gets wiped. And so you just want to make sure that you're familiar with the rules, read the statutes, have a look. But we have seen a lot of deals, and the best deals that we've ever seen in Pennsylvania have been at the repository sales. We have a student who bought a mobile home for $250. And so repository sales, that's when they did not sell at the previous auction. And at this point, the county is willing to take a loss on the property. And so $250, even though the back taxes are significantly higher, got it for that, and then sold it for $15,000 fairly quickly. And so that's possible. Pennsylvania is a great state for tax deed investing. And so if you're looking for the best deals, repository lists are available to you.
Excellent. Good stuff. Let's see, guys, good questions coming in. Keep them coming. Let's see, we do have a question here as far as, is there a calendar to find the auctions? So we actually are launching our auction calendar here in the next couple days. This will be launched on Tax Lien School.com. So you guys could check that out. So for example, if I just show you this, if I share my screen, entire screen, boom, And if you wanted to come to taxlienschool.com, you would see here the homepage. And if you click on the Knowledge Vault, you'll end up here, and we have a calendar and interactive map that shows you guys everything. So if you click on it, it'll give you the details of everything. And we do have an auction calendar that displays upcoming auctions. So with that, we're going to be rolling that out in the next day or two. So you can go keep an eye on that there, but it's a super handy resource over there on Tax Lien School, and the Tax Lien School Knowledge Vault has lots of details in there. So we're going to be doing our official launch on that coming up in the next couple days for everybody who wants to basically have a really good free resource for tax liens and deeds. Our goal with the Knowledge Vault is to really provide the best information out there for tax liens and deeds. So that's going to be coming down the pipeline as well. Let's see. Thanks, guys. Do you know if the county mortgage gets wiped out? So Josh, you have something there?
It depends on if it's the judicial sale or the upset sale. And so the upset sale, that's their first attempt at the sale, and that's where nothing gets wiped. And then there's the judicial sale, which is the second attempt, and that's where everything does get wiped. But I was pulling up the website, and sometimes you are going to find anomalies, and it looks like Allegheny does not actually do those kinds of sales. And so the rest of the state may do the upset sales and the judicial sales, but I see here that they've got something else going on. And so they're going to serve actions in mortgage foreclosures that are subject to the foreclosure action. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to whether is this a mortgage foreclosure or is it a tax sale. But I do see tax claim notices last date of file. So it is possibly done by the sheriff. And there's a lot of times that like this happens in Ohio where the sheriff sales, they do the tax sales and they also do the mortgage foreclosures. And so it's very possible that it's going to be here. And you just want to make sure that you are at the appropriate sale. But it looks like I do think this is probably where it's done. And they could be combined together. So you just want to make sure that you are at the right sale. And you're going to be able to tell a lot of times you're going to be able to see who the defendant is. And if the defendant is a mortgage company, a lien holder, something like that, that would be a bank foreclosure. But if the plaintiff is the county, then you know it's for the back taxes. But it looks like they've got a lot of information here on sherifalleghenycounty.com. So this could be the place, but you just want to go through and confirm, make sure. But I do see some language here about the tax sales, so this very well could be it.
Nice. Let's see here. Good question right now. I actually really like this question. And it says, any thoughts on going to auctions while you save before you can attend? Yeah, this is huge. In my opinion, if you maybe don't have the money to get started, this is one of the best approaches is to start going to auctions. It's literally the equivalent of practicing. One of the biggest mistakes I see made is people go to auctions and they don't get something at their very first auction and they get like super sad and then, oh, it doesn't work. Everything got bid up to market value, and then they cast that assumption on the entire United States. And like we said, there's 3,300 counties. So what? The county you went to didn't get bid up. So when it comes to thoughts on going to auctions before maybe you're ready or have the money, that's awesome. You can go with a hypothetical budget, go and practice. And that way, when you have money, you will have some reps under your belt. And that's a great way to go. Now, the other side of the coin is if you do have money, you can get properties as well. Some of you guys might get property at your very first auction. That's what happened to me. I went to my very first auction and I got 40 acres of land for $4,200. It was worth like 50. And I did nothing. I just sold it and made like $15,000 at my very first auction. Now that can happen. And, maybe 10 or 15% of you guys, that will happen to you. But if it doesn't, so what? You got the experience, right? Which is what absolutely counts. So we see that quite a bit. And, you just have to stick to it. And anybody who's willing to show up and take action can have great success and get these deals. Like we've been in this business now, like 10, Josh, what, going on 12 years now?
Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
at least a decade.
Over a decade, coming up on, or over 2 decades now, and we see how this works. And the big thing is you need to take action, right? And that's why we always recommend when we're doing screen sharing and stuff, go back, watch this again, and follow along with us step by step, so you can see and do it on your own. Because obviously it's fun to maybe watch this and kill some time, but unless you take action, it's kind of a waste of time if you don't act on what's here, in the sense of, it's useful information. And especially because we're showing deals that are available right now. There's all sorts of people who watch the channel and they're like, hey, I watched the video. I went and bought a property for like Josh was saying there, a couple $100, sold it for 10,000. This is only possible through tax liens and deeds and government seized property. So appreciate the questions here. Let's see what's up. Signed up, right on. We appreciate you coming on board with us. And basically, what we do is we try to give away as much information on the channel as possible. We give you guys a mini course to help you get started, which is in the description, the ABCs, the directory, these videos. And rather than just selling thousands of those, we give it away. And if you guys ever want to work with us one-on-one here, we're more than happy to do that. You can book a free call. And like Wasim is doing here, they want to work with us one-on-one, so they just signed up, and that's awesome. Anybody can do that as well. So there's a link in the description. You can book a free call with us or get the ABCs or do both. You could come join Josh even at the sale coming up, and we can take you by the hand and help you do that. Or if you just want to watch the videos, that's totally cool as well. Let's see, in your calendar, do you notify when land bank opportunities? So the land banks are where things go when they don't sell at the auction. So when you are looking into the auction, just ask where the land bank is. So we don't actually provide that. However, we do provide the auction date, and it's super simple. Like if you have the deed directory, all you have to do is call them up and ask what's left over in inventory. Maybe you're in Oklahoma or Texas, you just call them up and say, what happened to the properties that didn't sell to sale? And they'll say, oh, those go into our land bank or available over the counter. And you will be off to the races. Let's see here. Yeah.
I thought maybe we could go back and we could revisit this whole Pittsburgh thing real quick.
Sure, let's do it.
Yeah, so I did get clarity on it here. I was just really curious. There's some pretty wild stuff that is going to the auction coming up on June. On LoopNet here, you can see this huge commercial property is across the street from the McDonald's there. So you're going to find all kinds of different interesting things. But here is a list of previously sold property. And so you can see at the top there, it says the sale type. So there's real estate sale, tax lien, but then also they do have the mortgage foreclosures as well. So if we scroll down a little bit more, we're probably going to see one of those. Yeah, so real estate sale, mortgage foreclosure. And so that just means that some of these are going to be tax sales, and then some of these are going to be mortgage foreclosures. And the plaintiff will always be a good indication. So you can see here, that's US Bank. But this is a pretty interesting auction where they actually provide an opportunity to do this virtually as well, which is pretty cool. So I don't see that happening very often. And you can put down 10%, which is similar to Philadelphia. So that's another great thing about these sales, is you don't have to put all of the money down at the beginning. But pretty cool. And so there it is. They got sheriff sales, virtual sheriff sales, so you can attend these even virtually, which is pretty awesome. But this sale's coming up too. So we've got tons of stuff going on in Texas. We've got tons of stuff going on in Allegheny as well. So there's plenty of opportunity out there.
Nice. Josh, I had a cutoff here at 1:30. Can you keep going here with these last couple questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Will it, I wonder if it's going to kick me off.
Corey's in the background.
Oh, tight. Okay, that sounds good. All right, let's see. So going from there, let me get back to our screen. Okay, nice. Now, if I want to take it off, stop screen. Okay, great. There we go. Last thing. Oh yeah, we were talking about the land bank opportunities, right? Yeah, so land banks, the property that's not sold. But I'll tell you about land banks is that a lot of times they are going to be a bit more difficult to buy property from. And the reason being is that most land banks exist to simply get property back into the community. And so if it doesn't sell at an auction and it does go to a land bank, often what you're going to find is that the land bank has maybe strict requirements. They may want you to be able to show that you have the ability to rehab the property, that you have the capital, that you have the means and the experience. And so if you're starting out and those are the requirements of the land bank, then that's not going to work well for you. And so earlier we mentioned about the student of ours who had bought a property or mobile home for 250 bucks, sold it for 15 grand. So he was looking around, and this was in Pennsylvania. He was looking around other counties, and some other counties had strict guidelines or strict rules similar to the land banks, where they wanted him to be able to also show that he has the capital to fix a property. And so while they do have sweet deals, he may not have been able to get that if he didn't have the capital set aside or the experience to remodel something. And so he did find a county then that had no barrier to entry, which is what you're looking for. So before you kind of get deep into a land bank and get really excited because you see that there's a lot of opportunity there, you want to make sure and see what kind of criteria they have, whether it is strict and you need to be able to show that you can remodel it or rehab it, get it back into the community, or, are they just looking for someone to come up with the minimum bid and sell it? They'll be willing to sell it to you. So that's just an important distinction. Make sure that you look at the land bank rules. For instance, Mississippi has got a ton. They've got a ton of good deals, and so unsold tax deeds, tax liens, they end up there. But they do have pretty strict guidelines. So that's something that you want to be paying attention to. Okay, I don't know how to. I'm not like the guy that runs this interface very often, so I don't know how to put up a question. But Kamala says, "How do you do due diligence for land? Like, there's not comps for that, is there?" Great question. Great question. Very good. And so generally, we are going to try to find a little bit of information to help us identify how much this piece of land is worth. It wasn't a couple days ago. I was looking at land. It was like outside Big Bear in California, which is a great place. And so this piece of land, I think the bid was like 400 bucks. And so you would think, okay, wow, for 400 bucks, I could buy this piece of land, right? And I could sell it. I mean, this is Big Bear, California. It's going to be worth $50,000, right? And so what we did, because there's no address, there was nothing to help us identify anything. And so what we had to do is go into the parcel map viewer, parcel map finder, find out exactly where these lines are. And then what we did is we found the closest home to this parcel. And so then once we find the closest home, I'm going to put that address into Zillow. I'm going to zoom into that neighborhood. And now I'll be able to see exactly where that vacant lot is. And so that's what we did. And we saw that, okay, people had bought and sold these vacant lots for like maybe $3,000, 2,500 bucks. And so they had very little value. And on top of that, the turnaround time was huge. And so that's another important thing when it comes to comping out land, doing due diligence on land, is how long am I going to have to hold on to this piece of land for? Because if it's 200 days, I mean, that's a really long time. You're going to want to know that on the front end, right? If you think that you're going to be able to cycle this thing, in weeks or months, but that's never happened before in that area, maybe it's remote, then you want to be able to know that in the front end. And so we do comp land. And so we look at tons of vacant lots in Philadelphia and we comp them mostly just using Zillow. You can filter recently sold property and only look at parcels. And so then we're just looking at similar parcels, generally at least three. That way we can remove an outlier. Let's say you've got one, you got two, and they're both kind of at opposite ends of the spectrum. Then you need a third to kind of confirm which one's accurate. Now, if you pull three and they're all separate, though, they're all different and they're completely different as far as price goes, then you probably want to grab a fourth to go ahead and figure out how much it is worth. But if it truly is extremely remote and you haven't seen any land sales in like a few miles in the past 36 months, then you probably just want to go ahead and use the county assessed value. But beware. Personally, I wouldn't have any confidence in that since, property, real estate, homes, pieces of land, all of it is only worth as much as people are willing to pay. So if we have no data, then there's not any confidence, to believe is the county right in their assessment or are they not right? But yeah, there's a little bit of information on land. Uh, Purple says, Josh and Dustin, how can I join your next auction trip? We do have a QR code. Oh, there we go. Nice. Check the description below for more details. We've got a QR code that you can scan to book a call. And that way you can come along and attend, which is great because you definitely don't want to go into this blind. There are times that we get students who join us and they join us after making a mistake. They join us after they've spent money. They bought something sight unseen, or they thought they were buying a home and they actually bought like a sliver of the home or a sliver of the parcel. So we definitely want to help you prior to buying something. Erica says, I'm bidding on several tax certificates, but I'm not sure what a good number. I don't want to over or underbid. I would appreciate your feedback. Yeah, good question. So when it comes to tax sale certificates, there could be a few different ways that you're doing the bidding process. And so some people, what they do is they actually just bid down the interest. And so in New Jersey, this happens a lot where it's actually fairly competitive. And there's a lot of investors who are willing to buy tax lien certificates at 0% interest. And sometimes there's like a minimum penalty, but that can hardly be worth it. But usually, they're just trying to actually find those few properties that they're going to be able to foreclose on. So if the lien holder is not paid the taxes back with interest, at the end of that term, whether it's 2 years or 3 years, they can foreclose. But if you're competing against people that are willing to bid the interest down to 0%, then that may be a place that you want to look elsewhere. And so looking at previous data is going to be the best way to get a feel for that, because there are hedge funds that come in and they're just willing to buy up everything, and so you don't want to be competing there. You don't want to be fishing in the same pond as them, and so that's where looking at previous data is going to be really helpful. Now, if there's a different system where you actually are bidding up, and so this may be where the tax lien is worth $1,000, but now you're bidding up from there, and so it's kind of like an over amount, like an overbid. And if you're competing that way, then you just want to be really careful that you're not going to be going too high, because generally what's going to happen is you're not going to be getting any interest on that amount. So let's say the back taxes are $1,000. That's what the lien is for, $1,000, and you bid it up to, let's say, $5,000. So you're just going to be earning interest on that $1,000, not on your $4,000. That's the overbid. And so that's where you want to be careful as well. So you don't want to get carried away. Personally, our favorite is when we just actually find unsold tax liens. So let's take, for instance, Arizona is 3 years. So after holding a lien for 3 years, as long as you have the oldest lien, you can go ahead and foreclose on the property. You'll just send notifications out to everybody who has an interest, get their interest wiped as long as they don't pay the taxes, and then get the property. And so you can find liens that have not previously sold and they're just sitting there at the county waiting. And maybe after an extended period of time, the county is just going to get those or assume those or get the property on their own. But those are definitely going to be really good ones to get. But Eric, it also depends on your strategy. And so if your strategy is, I really just want to get a house, I don't care about the interest rate, maybe the interest rate is low where you are, then a really good way to approach things is looking for properties where potentially they're vacant, or you can also be looking for properties that have no mortgages or things like that. So very good, very good. Yeah, let me know if that helps. And then Wasim, looks like you are a student of yours, so hop on the Zoom call today and you can talk to us about the previous data. But generally, that's going to be on the same website that has the tax deed sale. Okay, geez, I wanted to show one more thing before we wrap this up. let me show you a place that has got really good deals. Each month this happens. I'm going to share my screen. Here we go. Entire screen. Beautiful. All right, let me just make sure that's showing up. Is it? Oh, I don't think I'm doing it right. All right, that's okay. What I wanted to show you was Kaufman County. So this is also on realauction.com. If you didn't see that, go back to the very beginning of this stream. You'll be able to see us on realauction.com. And Kaufman County, Kaufman. Now they've got sweet deals, and they don't do auctions monthly. So the auctions only happen once every few months. They do have an auction coming up June 3rd. And so if I go into their history, they did not have an auction in May. They had one in April, just 5 properties, nothing in March, nothing in February, nothing in January. Now we're going into December. They had nothing. They had 7 properties in November 2024. So these auctions do not happen very often. And when they do, there's just a few properties. But what I'm looking at here is an upcoming sale, June 3rd. They had 4 properties once canceled. The 3 that are remaining, open bids 27 grand on county assessed 253. The next one is open bid of 20 grand on $207,000 value. Third one is a minimum bid of 21 grand, a judge value 182,000. So if you're looking for a place to get into the mix, and you've got the ability to handle something remotely like that, that's a great auction to go to. I'll tell you though, for our virtual training in Philadelphia, we do teach you how to go ahead and find someone to drive the properties for you. I've had a lot of success finding people for 25 bucks an hour, which has been awesome because you don't want to be overpaying for that. You don't want to be paying like $100 to have someone go look at a property for you because that's going to cost a lot of money, right? We had someone drive like 50 properties for us in Philadelphia, and it was like under $200, which is pretty cool. So that we were able to do it remotely. All that to say, there are tons of opportunities. There's tons of deals. Today we looked at 3 different upcoming auctions in Texas, which are all virtual. We also showcased the Allegheny sale coming up in Pennsylvania, which is also virtual, which is really cool. So make sure that you check it out. You attend tax deed sales. That we got tons of free content, tons of free videos. We have more videos than anybody else on YouTube, which is pretty awesome. So anything you're looking for, we've got a huge library available to you. We'll be live streaming again, probably on Thursday. And if not, it'll be next Tuesday, kind of the same time, same place. So bring your questions. What is Drive the Property? So what I had people do is drive the property for us, look at the parcel lines, look at the condition of the property so we come up with a rehab budget since we couldn't be there in person. Because you don't want to buy something without being able to see it, whether somebody else sees it or you see it. That's a big no-no. Always got to get your eyes on the property. Okay, great. Thanks so much, everybody, for hanging out. A pleasure. We will see you next time. Take care.